Welcome in, guys. I appreciate the little hold up here. We had to make some changes. Just the three of us tonight, man. Myself, DJ Clint. We got Sugar in the middle. Nate was running the board over there for us, getting things started. Thanks for tuning in, joining us, you guys. We got lots to talk about tonight for sure. We'll let Nate hear. We are multi-streaming tonight on Twitch, Mixcloud, YouTube, and our Facebook page. So, welcome in, guys. Appreciate it. Three big dudes sitting at a little table here. I'm going to scoot over a little bit.
It's super cute. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, yeah, it's great to be back. It's been it's been an all right month, I would say. I think we've stayed consistent in coming out on our Twitch channel every Tuesday. We have been doing Fridays as well. Arizona's still been doing their Thursday nights. And we've had a lot of new interaction, some people joining us. And I feel we've been successful. I know our merch has been going okay. We got Detroit leading the pack now in that one.
Yes, Detroit is leading the pack, very much so. He's up to 13 sales. You're at 10. So
I know.
That's the battle. 13 and 10. Shug, I think Shug is sitting at 2?
Something like that.
Somewhere there, yeah.
Yeah, the Everyone Loves Sewell hashtag shirt. It's available. So
Yeah, exactly.
you got to get it. You can put that logo on anything now, too. It's cool.
Yeah.
Other than that, I know the other thing that what else has changed? Oh, Sugar, you got a job?
Well, okay. I do have a job. I wasn't planning to release that quite yet, but I do have an actual job now. Santa Claus is now delivering packages every day.
It works out well. It does.
I definitely already have new coworkers that are excited about me rocking some Santa gear.
Nice. Yeah, no, you're going to look good in your delivery truck, rocking the red pajamas during the season, man. I mean, that's pretty much the perfect fit for you this year.
For this season and COVID year, I've gotten this COVID beard turned into Santa that we all had fun making fun of me / make fun of myself with the floating Santas sometimes when I was DJing. So can I bring in the subject matter that everyone else may or may not know about yet, but major clubs that have been around for decades are now closed as of tonight.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. We can talk about that for a little bit, but I want to make sure all these sound levels sound well. We got a little chat. People over here in the room saying the mics are loud, low. That's why it brings back. We had to reset this whole studio. The guy that was going to run the board tonight did not show up. So it's kind of we're winging it over here till we get this thing right. But we'll get there for sure.
Yeah, so we actually had to, we actually usually set up the board externally on the computer that we're normally streaming on in the green room, which is outside of this room. And we typically have a fourth or fifth member here, and they'll run that and monitor. I just got shut up. Oh, there I am. How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
All right.
So my voice is going in and out right now. But we had to, we drilled new holes. We got another hole.
We got another hole in the wall, yes.
His squad has another hole in the podcast studio.
Holes.
Yeah.
Yeah. D, does that sound better, buddy? Give us a thumbs up. Give us in the chat room.
JV, you telling us it all sounds better? All our voices right here?
Yeah. I think we should be good now, you guys. Going from condenser mics to these dynamic mics does play a huge role in how this board is set up. That's for sure. So that's my bad. Sorry about that, guys. So anyway,
yeah,
Jason, appreciate the sounds good, guys. Appreciate it. We're all good on the sound.
Who's in there? One Stop, Jason?
Yeah, Jason Goley's in there. Deli's in there. I'm watching before my date. Deli has a date tonight. I appreciate you guys tuning in there.
DJ Deli. He's a fancy cat with the ladies for sure.
If you don't follow him, he does clean up kind of rough, but he says he cleans up nice, so.
Whoa.
I actually thought he looked all right.
I thought he looked dapper.
Yeah.
He looked good.
It's good. So anyway, back to the topic of the elephant in the room tonight, with 4 clubs closing today officially being said by the owner, which was DJ Evil 1, Eric Bauer. What did he have? Tube since 2013?
Well, not just him. I'm
just saying.
Tube in general has been
Yeah.
around for decades.
Yes.
Even before Eric. So to hear that a venue that's lasted through many other things, 9/11, other recessions, I think Middle East War, that Tube was there.
Yeah.
So
Did you say Middle East War?
yeah, with the Middle East. When we,
Okay.
when we fought in the Middle East.
All right, I remember now.
The
I
Tube-
was like, I was trying to think like
You were-
regionally. I'm like, well, what part? Like, so we have a ton of districts in Portland and Oregon, and I'm like, which district was that? They got that pissed off? Wow, that's amazing.
So to find out that a sickness that has taken over has now made a club, in particular, a bar establishment that was pretty legendary, that now it's not around anymore as of tonight, officially.
Yes. We do want to pay as much respect to that as possible. We've all been hit by it, but it is a sad and unfortunate deal to see these businesses go under. No matter what, we don't want to see this, because when we come out of this, we'd like to still DJ. That would be cool. Losing faith sometimes, it's hard to keep your head up and actually try to examine where we're going to have options. I think it's going to be a lot more competitive. It's going to, hopefully you've stayed fresh if you are a DJ and you're ready for it when it happens. And it's, again, Eric Ballard, man, much love. And thanks for doing that for the community and having those venues and those options for people to work. And unfortunately, yeah, it's a sad time to hear.
Yeah, because wasn't Tube open? I think Tube was open, 5 nights a week? Fortune was 3-4 nights a week.
I swear Tube sometimes was open at least 6.
Yeah, it's really hard to say, but I mean, and then you throw in Rivalry, and then it's just, he had a lot of working employees for him. He had a lot of DJs come through his venues. I mean, not just from Portland. I mean, I'm talking from across the U.S. that came to Portland to play at his venues.
The world champions,
Yeah, so he did a lot for the Portland community. I know us as a collective didn't get along. We didn't see eye to eye, but we all respected each other.
Yes.
Yeah, we all did.
So-
I actually know he brought a couple guys out of my old market. He brought Juggy out. He brought, I think Jarvicious might have played there too, but yeah, Juggy's he's a heavy hitter. That's the crew he's part of, but he's a big deal out there. So it was cool to see him or have a place that stretches out that far, not just amongst our thing. Are you gonna take that off the table?
That would be nice.
That'd be cool.
A little vibration here.
We're gonna have to
there.
start
Right,
having like a phone buzzing jar every time like that goes in there. We're gonna throw $1. It's kind of like a swear jar.
Gotcha.
Or we'll just smack your hand. And it might happen to me, though, so I'm going to scoot way over to the side so I don't get the biggest backhand in the situation.
I do have it.
But, yeah, as far as – and you do have the most advantage in the middle there. So it is very, very good that we went into the fact that, like, that is one of the updates that happened this month. Also, so –
It's not even him. There's more venues that have closed in Portland, though, too. Bars that – just go that we're not, I guess, connected to, So, and also for you guys tuning in that we're expecting music tonight, I know we talked about it on Friday night when we streamed. We're doing the podcast tonight because next Tuesday is election night, and we choose not to do any streaming next Tuesday night or a podcast or anything like that. And I wanted to stay on the formula of a podcast once a month, and so that's why we're doing it tonight. So appreciate you guys tuning in for sure. And let's get into our first topic for the night: shelf life of music. How does it get there? I mean, what makes it the lifespan of the music, for the top radio and club play?
I guess I can field this first. Just to let you know, I worked in radio, and my bachelor's degree is in communication, electronic media, and a minor in technical sales. Anyways, there's only like 3 colleges that even offer that minor. It's kind of what athletes take so they can just get
Play
a grade.
sports.
But
Yeah.
they didn't offer marketing at the time. But so in my time of learning that, things have changed. So when we'll all date ourselves. It's fine. We have age coming up, and that will be a discussion. But I hit the 4.0 mark, and so I was involved in radio in the 90s, but in high school, I actually hosted a show and worked for the local station, Elko, Nevada. Yeah, look that one up.
It's tiny.
Yeah, it's yeah. So I mean,
And we all know why he's super white now, because he comes from Elko.
And I had to really dive in and research into the culture of what we do now and everything else. But so how ratings worked back then to now, and I actually have looked up quite a bit of things to let you guys know about this. Ratings in radio was probably the outlet. You guys all agree with that?
Of course. Really it all boils down to radio. And I mean, but is that today, or was it back, let's say, 15 years ago?
Let's start with 15 years ago, and then we'll go into what's changed now. So there was a rating system, if you guys are aware, called Arbitron ratings.
Correct.
Yeah.
Do you guys know how that worked?
I do, because I was in radio too. So
I wasn't, but I was working with radio guys all the time from Jam and 95.5. And I remember watching the local guys on a Sunday, like Star Child, to wanting to get his songs on the main list to have a circulation, and also the main jocks like Felix. Like we know Felix.
Yes.
And Felix would, be like, oh man, I got to have you guys tonight make sure, and even in the mix show, have to play certain songs because they have to be in the cycle for those analytics, basically.
No, absolutely. Yes, that's part of it. So well, let's discuss this before Arbitron.
Okay.
There actually was a method, and DJs played a big part of that, even in the clubs. And there were, let's say, back in the disco era, and prior to that, that was how you got heard. That really was.
Oh,
and
definitely, 100% was radio.
We still influenced that, I would say, clear into the 90s, like mid-90s or so.
Absolutely.
And then it became, you got your iTunes and things, which eventually we can go into. But Arbitron, how it worked was basically a paper survey. So Arbitron was sent out to a sample group, and it's actually surprising to realize it's not, depending on your population, it was so many, and it's not very many, honestly. Like I think in Salt Lake, where I mainly did my career in that, we were under 2 million or something, and so it was only like a 1% or 10%. So it would only be maybe 200 people would receive these, or they would send out 300 hoping to receive so many back. With that being said, you have to think, who's actually going to fill out a paper form and mail it back in?
Single old ladies.
There you go.
That's the only ones that care.
Only people that had the time, and back then, or obviously we could get into the politics of women working and not working, but they were the ones that were home. They were the ones that retired. They were the ones that had the time and would actually take the time and fill out a survey and send it back in.
So Detroit brought up a good question here in the chat. He's like, don't you think clubs influenced the radio, and then radio put it in rotation during the disco era?
Yeah, and that's what I think you verbalized or worded that maybe a little better than I did, but that's was kind of my point, was prior to me even being alive or in this at all, or being barely a sparkle in my parents' eye. Let's put it that point. We all might have came from the disco era, like literally. No. And so, yes, they influenced the play, and then people request that at the radio station. And then at the time, labels had a direct influence and path to those people on the air.
Correct. And then D also, he brought up a good point too. The radio DJs back then were also working in the clubs, like the radio jocks. I mean, even to this, I can't say to this day, but up to a point, the club guys are still in radio, and radio is still in the clubs somewhat.
Yeah, it's kind of made a weird rotation. So there was a separation, and then a joining, and then a separation and a joining. Like it's cycled around in a very bizarre way, and due to like economic crashes and all sorts of stuff. So yes, in the clubs during like disco era in the 70s and things like that, tracks were played that direction. And when labels started, I wish I would have looked up that fact, like when like Virgin started and all those things with Branson, they literally had people on the ground bribing people on the radio. Basically, it was like, what do you call it in politics? Lobbying. Yeah, so you were lobbying your artist at the time. And as an artist, you were trying to get their attention. And depending on your music, there was a different type of agent for your type of music. And depending on what was popular, again, we've gone through like rock disappearing, disco disappearing, all that stuff. So yes, in the disco era, the club guy definitely was a decider. Now, if we're to just take rock, I think that was more label influenced.
Rock,
as far as getting your play to the radio.
oh, of course.
You know?
That was definitely a weird. Let's say Metallica. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're their biggest rock band currently. You know what I'm saying? As far as I can think of. I mean, there's a lot of underground stuff. There's a lot of people that still do it, for sure. The Gorillas. I mean, for sure, that's kind of a weird rock poppy. But I mean, let's go back to the '90s. You know, it was Metallica. It was, you know,
And then we had and we went from like 80 stadium band to like, I don't know what you would have called like the Nickelback phase and all those things.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, the trend of what people were listening to. So to track what people were listening to, back to Arbitron, which we called arbitrary because like we said, it was mainly driven by probably women above their 35, above 40, you know? So if you're a station trying to attract a male demographic, you're actually going to receive kind of how a professor would curve the grade. You received bonus points, basically, on this rating system. So it was actually one of the reasons I never, I wanted to be in radio. I thought I'd be on air, and I did for a long time. But selling was something I was like, wow, that's probably one of the harder sales positions in the world, because what are you selling? You're selling air. You're selling time. And you're working off arbitrary numbers.
See, but that's where radio gets lost, I think. And Jason brought up a good point, too. And, you know, when he worked in radio, a lot of guys that we know and follow us, we all have been in the radio scene. But anyway, like Sony would wine and dine the DJs or the media director to get their tracks played. And we can come full circle to that, and not to jump over. But, I mean, that's like how tracks make it now. Is they don't need a label, really. It's totally different.
No, it's an option, and I want to get to that, but that also brings up the reason some of that changed too.
Yeah.
Then we moved into payola lawsuits. You know, like that actually became a legal fine, and that actually changed. And so then what labels would do, then there became the barter of ticket sales.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, you're going to give this radio present. Like, I actually, since I was a promotion director, had to prove that we could create more value than the other station going for the same demographic. If Metallica came through and we were a rock station, nobody was going to get presents. Okay. Yeah. That was going to be Live Nation or whatever. Like, every radio station would be there, but you weren't going to be the presenting radio station. They were too big for that.
Yeah.
Now, someone else on like Chevelle, we could fight with the one across our neighborhood and say, hey, we're going to give you this much value of mentions and different things to get this many tickets. And so that's how we sold more tickets, and that's how people got more airplay. Yeah. Now, let's come in a little newer. Then we run into, okay, so radio's dead, this and that. People want to say satellite radio, this and that. No. The absolute, and this is going to distribution music that probably changed the face of our world, was the iPod.
100% the way we got our music was the iPod.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know exactly when the iPod was out, but I had one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's 99, 2000?
Exactly. I believe so. Yeah, it was mid-90s, early 90s. I remember it well. I was dealing with like mini discs in mid-90s, which was kind of interesting. It was like the first writable digital form of thing that held so much on a small device.
Correct.
Compared to CDs, and this was moving into digital. So we had that in iTunes, and so distribution became from that. And now, and let's bring up, so we want to discuss shelf life, right? Yeah. So when you have one channel that way, and you have one direction, you're basically going to try to get, let's say, like Nickelback or Hinder or that type of era needed to get a major label because they still had a connection to program directors. And now everything in 1998 or 99 the caps got blown off in radio. So the ownership was open up, right? That's when Clear Channel gobbled up everyone. But these labels they were big enough, they had relationships with the CEOs and the people above. So labels still had a very big influence and you only had one way to get that, right? And that was to listen to radio and go see them live. Now we have streaming. Now we have downloadability.
And I would call it more instant gratification.
Exactly. And so that's what so would you guys agree in the fact that back then, the good and bad are what changing. So everybody can distribute their own music, but the bad is everyone can distribute their own music.
Yeah.
It's almost like that double-edged sword.
Yeah.
I mean, the more music, more crap. I'm going to call it crap music today. There's a handful of good stuff. But it's so much available for anybody to listen to at any given time. It's just crazy the way we get our music to us now, or how we hear our music. And, in today's music life form, if half these artists had to go the route of let's just go back to the 90s platform. If half these artists had to go back to the way it was in the 90s, they wouldn't even be around. We wouldn't even know about them. Because they actually had to self-distribute CDs and get it into the right person's hand or whatever, have a major label, Chance the Rapper is a good example of that, of how he's made it on his own self-distribution of his music,
And speaking of him, I had pulled up a Rolling Stone article.
Look at that. He's so sophisticated over there.
The person that actually wrote this, I wanted to find the name of this, was the CEO, Lee Patterson, of what's called Ditto Music. So I did go to their website. It's how we're restreaming right now and how it streams out to platforms. These guys actually help artists in the independent platform hit every streaming thing, or every downloadability, and like Spotify to Apple Music to everything. You go through them and they act like that. And it's more of a website, sort of a manager, sort of not really a label. Does that make sense?
So it does make sense. So it's kind of like the same aspect that I used to get. After this show, I'll save the recording. I'll take it over to the website that I use to upload it to get it to all the streaming platforms that we're on, which is Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcast, and then all these recordings here, so we're on every streaming platform available with these content, that we're doing now. So
in this article, they go through, and I really wish I could have highlighted this prior to getting here, but the reason Chance the Rapper stands out, and I think we kind of skipped over how you had to kind of work through, like in the 90s, let's take hip hop as an example since we're DJs. Basically, if you got Dre to create a beat, or you had to go through Dre if you're on the West Coast, right? That's how you were going to get heard.
If you had a producer like Dre, you would get immediately heard, but you had to get his credibility first for him to make his, before he made a beat for you or something.
And then they popped up in different areas, the Dirty South and the, Atlanta, everything else. And there was a label in each one of those regions, right?
Yes.
And how you would actually hear them is go to the CD store, buy the CD, and that's how you would get it.
Yeah.
And so there were just like a handful of these labels, Def Jams.
Def Jam, Island.
Island Records was huge. Interscope Records.
Interscope. That's a really big one.
What was Puffy's? I'm trying to think right now.
Bad Boys.
Bad
Boys. But that was his own label, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
But he was under
in that time, though. That's
but
who
he
you
was
had to get
under,
through.
I believe, Sony, though.
Okay.
So or Capitol. There was always somebody at the top.
So neither one of you hit this, but the A&R reps would be everywhere.
Exactly.
There would be one in your region and your region and my other regions that I've lived in. I see Benjamin over on Facebook. He's seen this in all over the world, from Detroit to where he's in New York. Benjamin, I think you're in Benjamin. You still over there in New York? Chime in. And, this guy I've known also from actually the early 90s and stuff, out and about in the music. And he dealt with a lot of those other people like Funk Shop. Funk Shop was, when they first got started, Funk Shop here locally was being A&R reps for certain record labels.
Nice. Well, I see. I didn't know that. So, yeah.
So now you have the option, and again, Chance is the example in the hip-hop world, and it was, 2000, I believe I found it in here. It was, that's what I was scrolling through. I think it's 2017. He was one of the first independent artists within the hip-hop realm to win a Grammy, was it?
I believe so.
Yes. And so what this has done is created this the reality that you can self-distribute your own music and win a Grammy.
If it's good, I mean, of course, and Chance is phenomenal at hitting.
Good is very subjective, but yes.
It is.
I love Chance the Rapper, by the way.
Chance is phenomenal, but at that time, he was, I think, the leader in the forefront for self-promoting and self-distributing his own music.
Yeah. And it does mention he had a team, like he had friends.
Of course he had a
team. His own. It wasn't like he did everything himself, but he did do. I mean, he's the one that set it up.
For artists, no matter what, to be able to have a team set up like this that wasn't a record label forcing you to do things on their team, you know, he was able to make his own decisions his way, his pick of a team.
And he gets
Sony would be like, oh, well, you have to work with Claire.
So Kippy's joining us. Thanks for joining in, Kippy. JV, sorry about your 24-hour Facebook ban. I don't know what. I don't need to know what happened,
but we love seeing JV in our Twitch.
So Kippy and he's like, well, what about Macklemore? Actually, did it with Heist, but didn't Ryan Lewis and Macklemore have a major label behind him? Kippy?
Yeah, Kippy too. Should we?
No,
okay.
Not yet.
Okay. In the chat room, Kippy, give us some info here.
Give us some love out of the Seattle, because you're the Seattle nerd. We lean on you hard for Seattle. It's all good. And the Detroit's like, no. So I don't, nope. So I don't know. I didn't know that about the Macklemore and Ryan Lewis thing. So that's news to me. So
this guy was asked in Rolling Stones, the owner of Ditto Music, what's generally the attitude towards traditional record deals nowadays? His answer was, in the 90s, when an artist got signed, it was seen as a massive success. So, and the problem that there are with that is 50% of them who you'll never hear from again if you actually look back at what happened in the 90s. So, and the other thing that goes on to be discussed too, so let's clarify independent in this. If you're under Sony, Sony's going to take all sorts of percentages.
They're going to take a cut of your cash, for sure.
And so to be able to do this independently is amazing for artists, but also creates a whole other number of challenges. And
so Kippy's still chiming in over here on the chat. They just said 4 Grammys, by the way, for Macklemore. Yeah, I'm not discrediting Macklemore in any way. He's phenomenal at what he did for his time, for sure. So it's just one of those things. I mean, it is different now than it was, say, in the 90s. We keep going back to the 90s because that's where we're all from.
But it's also before the era of high-speed downloads.
Correct.
And streaming.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think it's the era you have to compare. We had a transition in the 2000s, but you were still downloading and things became faster than real time. So
yes,
I think you have to compare that era, especially if we're talking about hip-hop, because hip-hop's a younger era of music.
Well, and then what makes, so we're going to kind of segue over here. What makes the past songs still playable, even on radio? I know as club guys like myself, we still play a lot of the old stuff because people want to hear it. But why is it still getting radio play?
But again, according to this, only half of what was put out back then is what we're actually replaying, if we actually think about it. And it's really kind of true. So, but to that, I know the point you're getting to. It's because you had one channel and you only had one way to do things, really. You're like very seldom few options. So everybody was competing for that same channel of distribution. And therefore, you had to compete for one lane instead of having 50 million lanes. But that's also when you, it's kind of like when you oversaturate a market. It actually is exactly oversaturating a market. You not only now can pick out a song just because you didn't like the chime in the other song.
Yeah.
It can get down to that much. Like, I didn't like the way that stem sounded. So that guy sucks. And I'm going to just move on in my Spotify.
Yeah.
And back then, no, you were introduced to an artist and that's what you were introduced to. And there was only so many that were going to get to those millions and millions of dollars. But so your point is Was it harder? Right?
Yeah.
Was it harder? Yeah, I think talent probably, but again, there was a formula then too.
Well, there's always a formula, but even in the 90s, there was a formula to get your music to the radio. I get that. But now to get your music to the radio, I think is a lot easier. But why are the past songs of, say, the 90s? And I mean,
it's actually because of advancement of technologies and people's attention spans.
This is true. And as anybody else noticed, current songs are, less than 2.5 minutes now.
Yeah.
I mean, when 90s songs and 80s songs were 4 minutes, 5 minutes, but current songs are 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes. I mean, and I get that. I mean, and does that come from us DJs giving these people what they've wanted was 2 verses and we're out, I mean, so.
Yes and no, I think.
Or is that a Spotify, Apple Music thing? When they're bored, they just skip to the next song.
Do you have an opinion on that?
I have to say that I've seen that this time thing is all attention span. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants everything instant, and they want their music instant now. Absolutely. And with it being instant, it also means it's instantly gone. It's here for a few weeks, and then the next pop up. You brought up old. Now look at this. Fleetwood Mac becomes Dreams. Now is like a re-hit all over again.
Well, that's just because these younger generations don't know the old music, and that's. And nothing against the dude that made the TikTok thing go viral, and he did a phenomenal job. But he's our age, so he knows the song. You know what I'm saying? That was maybe his jam or something, and it just happened to be on TikTok or whatever, and he picked it up and played it. But that just goes back to why does everything have to revolve around a social platform to even get radio play or club play today if it doesn't come from a social platform?
Because that's how we live. That's how everyone was. I mean, the era that now is the generation that is now affecting the success of an artist or consuming was born with it.
Yeah.
They live their life through communication of a social media platform, through this thing that
Sugar has in his hand that he hasn't been able to sit down. But and just give you guys an update here. So everybody's commenting. Sugar's probably doing his chat thing. Yes, he's actually doing a lot on that little tiny device to help us get to multiple platforms, share some groups, he's doing Sugar right now.
And he's good at it.
He's very good at what Sugar does in spamming, screening, slamming, whatever Sugar does.
What do you call it, Sugar?
Sugarcoating, sugaring.
I just call it marketing. I'm telling anyone and everybody that's live on every platform to tune into this right now.
Gotcha.
And right now, so we're looking over one screen, guys, over here for our Twitch. I'm over here on Facebook, and I've been back and forth also on Instagram, letting people know they need to tune in.
So, yeah, we have 10 people on Twitch right now. We have 3 people over on Facebook. I can see those numbers. Nobody on YouTube, which is fine because I will repost this on YouTube. We have 2 people over on Mixcloud. And I can only see in my chat window right here is Twitch. That's the only most active people that are commenting and tuning in with us is Twitch.
Are you on your personal Facebook? We actually should have a Hit Squad Facebook page open.
Yeah, so we can see what's going on. You can do that on your computer over there, Nate.
I was actually going to ask Nate if you could pull up Billboard Hot 100.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. I actually have all this discussion planned.
Because Billboard Hot 100, they have the breakdown there of letting us know what all the stats are, why a song is at number 1 right now. How many streams it has, how many radio plays it has.
Not on Billboard, I don't think.
Yeah, Billboard Hot 100. If you look, when we pull it up, when he pulls it up, you can see.
Turn off your volume.
I had to turn on my volume so we didn't hear ourselves.
You can see, everybody can see, DJs, friends, family, everyone wants to know, why is that song number 1? Well, because on one chart in R&B it's this, and radio play it's this, and streaming services.
Hey, Nate, I know you were in radio, and I know there's a lot of guys in here in radio in the chat room too. Do any of you guys still have your account to All Access?
Yes, I looked at that earlier.
Oh, you did? Sugar brought this up, like spin counts. I can still log into my All Access account too and give exact radio plays and spin counts and ups and downs for the Portland market for any radio station. And I think it does it better for that.
Yeah, so let me bring you into Billboard. So yes, Sugar did a very good job explaining basically Billboard's I think we do have to explain this. Again, the generation that's consuming doesn't actually, I don't think they understand billboards. So billboards has always been the standard, and you'll hear Billboard awards, you'll see Billboard concerts, all sorts of things, and it's always been based originally off of radio play and spins. And that's where, if you got into the Hot 100, you were getting the hottest rotation in the clock and during radio play. And so that was determining your popularity. That was actually driving. It was actually recording record sales as well. And do you remember this, either of you guys, Radio and Records?
Radio
Sales?
Records.
It was a website / company.
No.
So that was the other site that radio used and labels used as well to track record sales. And what happened is Billboard bought those out, right? So now it's all that information's in billboards. The other thing that is now determining in billboards is your stream rate, is how often you're getting played on Spotify, Apple Music, all those other things. So Billboard is still a very accurate source.
Yeah, I'm not discrediting it at all.
Oh, no, I'm just making people aware that if you want to see what our nation and our world is putting up in a poll of being the hottest thing, it kind of
So wait, I gotta slow you down
that.
on one aspect right off the bat.
Yeah.
When I go into Hot 100, which I've been doing every week except for COVID, I used to go in every single week while we were DJing.
Yeah.
I want us to know what's going on Hot 100. What I noticed in the last 2 years, we have so many people busting out whole albums.
Yes.
And because they're new, all the streaming services are having the highest hits. So like a Drake thing comes out, the whole album comes out on Billboard Hot 100. That's not what it used to be 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
No, that's a good point. That is actually a great example. So the information is representing that as well, and it's not just radio play. Again, it's another source that you can access that song. But that's how it does make it different than what it was in the 90s. Things would stay on the chart for longer. But now if a new album drops, all sorts of people are going to get bumped off the chart, and they're going to come back on in like 4 days.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
A new album dropped, and on Spotify is being downloaded and listened to more than anything else because they were a hot artist before. So,
Well, and D here in the chat room, he's like, what about that Roses song? You know, the I Am a Beak remix. Yeah, that thing blew up because of social media.
yeah.
Tons of radio play because of social media. We started playing it in the clubs. I'm not going to disregard it. It's a great song.
So,
Which brings up, but like the other topic is how fast music drops off too.
That song did.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, what is the shelf life and how fast does it come onto the scene and how fast does it disappear? I mean, I'm playing maybe sometimes a track 3 or 4 times and people don't want to hear it anymore.
yeah, if you're lucky to get through a month, I think as an artist, you're doing a really amazing job at this point.
And that's pretty sad.
Yeah, it used to be months, man. And even look at country, holy crap. If you had a country hit back in Billboard days, you
You
were
were there 6 months. Top.
You were there for,
6
a
months, 7
long
months.
time.
Yeah.
But now country has gone the way of pop. And
There is no more true country, if you ask me. I mean,
it's kind of crazy.
it's pop country.
So here's another system I read about as well. So let's bring this up. So how artists are getting paid, they're not making it from these plays. The actual stat that I found is Spotify pays most artists between 0.003 and 0.005, 1/3 of a penny to 1/2 of a penny for each stream
Per play. Yeah.
per play.
Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah, that's what you're getting. So if you have a label deal, they're going to be taking most of that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's insane.
So that's where you can put yourself on Spotify.
See, and that's
independently.
why there was a big, I mean, what was it, 6 months ago? I saw it going around the social media platforms of I guess, staying away from Spotify because of that. They're not paying the artist, so it was really hard to, I don't know. Spotify is so huge and Apple Music is so huge. There's some people listening, they might not know, but what you know of Apple Music today was actually Beats streaming service, I believe. Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine.
I thought Dre sold like his
He did,
music
so-
to Apple or something.
Okay, so that's why people get I guess they're confused about that. But Dre and Jimmy Iovine, yes, sold the Beats headphones, the Beats company. Apple didn't give a shit about the headphones. They wanted their streaming platform that they just launched. I think it was called Beats Music, which is, known as Apple Music today. So, I mean, that's if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty. They bought Beats, but they wanted the Beats streaming platform. So,
so going into the pay, and I keep using Spotify. I don't F Apple, bro. But
I mean, I'm a Spotify user too. I mean, so
I'm not really seeing a lot of action in our actual Facebook page. It's kind of weird. But so what happens? So the question would be, right, as how do now you transfer that into the billboards? Like how are you going to climb up your plays on Spotify to get big enough where us as a club DJ are actually going to use your stuff,
social media.
Okay.
I mean, that's where it's at. I mean, these younger people, younger generations, teeny boppers that are driving this music to this day. I think it's not even the 21 to 30-year-olds that we see in the clubs. It's the 12 to 20s that are driving the music.
Oh, did we Baby Shark it?
That's what I was about to bring up. I'm like, I think it was like 6-year-olds deciding sometimes too.
And before that, it was Let It Go.
Yeah, but come on. I mean, we all know Piper on the stream. I mean, Frozen's, that's all I know. That's all she sings. I mean, come on.
But that's actually showing another factor of what this new distribution of music and due to social media and how it can spread that way. The facts sometimes on these charts are actually being affected by a lot younger and just a demographic that can't purchase anyways, but also things. The cereal world showed how you can sell cereal, though, to children, and then parents buy a ton of it. So it's not a bad way to go. You can make a ton of money off it. But the other thing, though, too, that was brought to my attention in my research was in Spotify. So to get more plays beyond your little social media or whatever you've grown, there's an algorithm running in the background, like our entire life.
Oh, of course there is.
Everything. We are trying to get through algorithms. I'm trying to apply for jobs, and I have to redo my resume to get through an algorithm. So how are you going to beat that algorithm within Spotify and bring it up? And you have to get more plays. So the more plays you get based off your social media, and that is now what Spotify is now going to do, it will come up more often as a suggested artist to other people. But you have to beat that system. So it's basically like playing on your phone or a video game all day. As an artist, that's
and just playing and playing and playing and playing.
Yeah, and one of the keys is you have to record, and just keep putting it out there, and hopefully you get some sort of spark on your social media that allows that algorithm to pick you up more often than the rest.
Yeah,
and however, Chance and the other independents have figured that algorithm out is impressive. It's super impressive that they beat it. Like they basically.
Well, they beat the big we'll call it the big business, which was the record labels that used to rob people.
So,
did anyone watch the documentary of New Edition?
Oh, they still do.
They still do.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the other stat I found. Let me see if I can.
So, I mean, we can talk about like how songs blew up. Like Old Town Road started, I believe, on TikTok as a dance or something, or a YouTube, or on the dude's personal Instagram or something, And then Billy Ray Cyrus saw it, and then the original, and then he joined on, and then the next thing you know, it's a fucking world hit, you know? And where's that kid now?
But I don't know.
Is he alive? Did COVID get him?
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how fast it happens, and that's how fast you go away if you don't stay on your game.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it's harder and harder to keep up. I would love to be like, I wish we all could be superstar turntablists, but we don't even have time to keep up on the music, let alone.
Well, and exactly. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys follow me on my social platforms, but I was stoked to see Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and Ice Cube and Exhibit release a brand new track.
Yeah.
We need that in this world today.
It's because you're old, and so am I.
But still, I mean,
is anyone out there enjoying the mumble rap? Mumble,
Yeah, do we have any little people, or
tuning in right now?
People that listen to little artists, little Uzis, little babies.
All the babies. There's all the babies.
There's
now.
a ton of littles.
And a ton of babies.
Right
Kippy's a big fan of the babies.
Kippy is?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Kippy.
I did watch some YouTube stuff on Little Baby, and he I can't hate him. He's actually a pretty good rapper. Like,
So what? Who
honestly.
started all this little stuff? Was it Lil Wayne?
Probably. Actually, yeah. Lil Wayne actually is accredited for mumble rapping. Actually,
No way.
But he's actually more lyrical than what you realize now when we have a comparison.
Yeah. See, JV, you're not the only one. Try being in our shoes.
There is Little Peep. That's his
Little
sign.
Peep, yeah. So, I mean, JV, welcome to our world, trying to keep up with all these littles when they come up. Hey, play this little, play that little. Dude, shut the fuck up and get out of here. Sorry about the language.
That's actually why I like when they hold the phone up and I'm like,
Absolutely.
which one is it? That one. Okay.
Yeah, but that gets
That
annoying
one
too.
little.
But honestly, you guys, I'll take any of that right now just to go have a gig. So,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll do a whole night I'll do a little night.
a little night.
Lil Sewell brings you LIL.
So, but I mean, so yeah, little. So, which brings up, why are we still playing then? I mean, we still goes back to the past. I mean, why are our club guys still playing? I mean, how old is In the Club? That's 20 years old, right?
Yeah, it's the same point. Yeah, I get what you're trying to say, dude. You're just trying to say that era is better than this era.
It's not even that, but why? I mean, I just don't understand it. Though, why? I mean, so these kids today still like that era of music, though, over some of the new stuff
It's
that's coming
because
out.
their parents played it and they got played, and it's because you spent longer times with it. It was in your life longer,
Yeah, I don't know.
and that's why it's still played. This stuff is not in your life very long. I mean, I had to really watch some YouTube videos to even really know much about Lil Baby, and and I don't know if he has another hit out right now. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But 50 Cent, and during that time, again, they had to go through a major label channel, they had to go through a major producer, and they had to be represented by that.
By somebody, correct.
And these guys didn't have to compete with that. They didn't have to compete.
No.
They didn't have to build their chops, and that's
Nope.
and I get the point of that. But I also the more I've researched, I don't want to discredit how they've had to beat the system, though. And I'm not talking about the man. I'm talking about the algorithms.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they have figured out how to get through them and to get the plays.
Yes, Eminem is old school now, Kippy. We get that. But did you know he's the only, I think, there were 10 consecutive albums to hit 10 consecutive number ones, I think it was.
Yeah.
But Eminem is phenomenal. He might be a crazy white dude from Detroit, but I think he's phenomenal. He is a hard worker. So,
Yeah, and he brought up 50 Cent. He brought up a whole bunch of people, and that was, again,
Yes.
another channel. He was like another generation of a Dre label. And
Yeah, JV, that's it. 10 consecutive number one debuts.
There it is. Yeah.
there it is.
Thanks for the clarification, JV. Appreciate it.
So you get less than a quarter of a penny from getting your plays. So this is relevant. And to get into the charts, so you have to beat the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That has to go through on all the platforms, from Apple Music to Spotify to Google Music, all of it. And then to get onto the charts now, and what was the other one? The oh man, I just spaced out. You get, oh man, I can't believe I just pulled that out. Oh, so what I wanted to go into was in the radio. So in the radio side, right, we want to say there's an argument, is it still relevant or not? Well, if you're focusing on a site like Billboard's, and that's what's determining the awards you get,
Yeah, for the
And
Billboard Music Awards
the
or whatever.
Billboard
yeah.
Music Awards, and maybe the Grammy sections and the Emmy sections and all those things, yes, I would say they still play a role in the stats. Okay, they
Yeah.
still affect how often you get played, but you have to beat the algorithms and the computers first, and then you get radio play, and you almost have to beat the algorithms to get club play now. And when you do that, so how they're determining now, they're new. So I talked about Arbitron. It is now Nelson. So Nelson was TV, right? Nelson would stick a box on your television. You would get paid so much per month, and they would monitor what you watched, and then that would go into the stats. And so TV obviously has had more of a realistic number than radio did. But now what we have is what we call people meters, and these came out right about the end of my career. And you receive a pager, and you wear a pager around. It's basically like a pager, and it senses. It's a sound, NDS sound scan is what they're calling it. We call it people meters when I was there, and it still comes up as that. But the weird thing about this is, so if you're in your car, it's going to pick up what station's on. If you're in a department store, it's going to pick up those sound waves and things like that. So all that now goes into a computer system and creates charts. It was crazy to go back and see and visit with people in my market after these changed. The people in number one were no longer number one. So this is going to definitely put Salt Lake jokes out there. But the number one station in Salt Lake for years was I think it was KSL, which was a branch of the church. It was Cozy FM or Hot Soft Hits. But again, who's filling that out? Stay at home women.
Single women, stay at home. Exactly.
It was amazing what it did, though. It is no longer number one. There is a completely different hierarchy of radio stations now of who is rated the highest as far as listenership goes, right? Yeah. And that's what determines. And now, all based upon these people meters. So you get paid to wear a meter, and you wear it around. So if your song comes up more often in that, and I would imagine now it's going to pick up scanned Spotify tracks and things like that, like Shazam. So yeah, it's mainly to determine what frequency you're listening to. And so, but that's where the numbers come from now. And those get calculated with your spins and your plays on the download and stream platforms like Apple and iMusic.
Yeah, because I believe Billboard is still tracking the Spotify plays and the Apple Music plays. They are still tracking the streaming platforms as plays towards a Billboard charting position.
And they take those Nelson informations and they calculate that along with it. And whoever gets the most plays on both moves your way through the charts. But
real quick, hey, Bo. Hopefully you're surviving out there in Vegas. We're doing our best up here in the Northwest, in your Portland hometown up here. Anyone else see anything going on in our chat room?
Just Detroit. You know, there's Cryptic, the Sound Rebel. He's like, I couldn't come over tonight. I'm gonna chill at home or whatever. And
we got Tony Mafia in the room.
What up, Tony? Good to see you. Thanks.
Which platform are you on?
I created a watch party.
Oh, okay.
I shared off our page.
That's nice. Yeah, I'm on our page and there's no one in it.
So I wanted them to come follow this way, some way.
No, I get it. I wanted to check my own and see if any.
Gotcha.
But I think I linked to our page, right?
Gotcha.
I believe I did.
So, Bo, real quick, if you're still in the room, we just ended up having, I saw like Vegas is selling off like casinos. Well, here in Portland, the Tube, which has been around a long time, and many other clubs, all have shut down as of tonight. So,
all right, go Dodgers. That's all I just saw you pop that up there.
Bo's letting us know he's watching the game for us. 2-1 in the 8th, Dodgers.
Thanks for the update. I appreciate that, dude. It's been a long time since 88 for a Dodger fan. I just going to throw that out there. So, anyways, so that's shelf life of music. I think we covered a lot of topics of that. Thanks for chiming in with us.
I kind of wanted to close out on one thing to kind of bring it into the COVID situation and things like that, and how artists all over and all entertainment is being affected. One of the facts, again, Rolling Stone magazine. Actually, let me read these numbers. They're crazy.
Oh, you really got a pillow?
No. I'm not going to read them all. Anyways, the band U2, I believe they did this in like 2017 or 2015, made $52 million on tour. And, but in sales, they didn't make anything, right? Like in record sales, that's not where they're getting their money. So now all artists are they're making it off sponsorship, like doing mention and selling their brand onto other things. But mainly all income into the entertainment business is because of touring, and and their merch sales. So that's how the artists are really getting supplemented.
Oh, yeah. I saw that really quick with a lot of the big bands. They had to get out there and get on tour to make their money because they weren't making the record sales. They weren't getting enough streams.
Yeah, but we can go back. You still had to tour to get music out.
Here's the breakdown I wanted to find. Sorry. It said, so U2 was the highest paid musical act of the year. Again, this is from 2017. This is a few years back. $54.4 million. The total earnings of about 95% of that $52 million came from touring. while less than 4% came from streaming and album sales.
You still had to tour.
4%.
Yeah, you still had to tour.
Yeah.
You still had to sell merch. Just same thing we're trying to do. Sell merch. That's the only thing that makes us money is merch.
But I mean, that actually just shows you why. So if you're independently distributing, you're actually going to receive another hunk of money if you are able to maintain your royalties and beat the algorithms, get the plays, get on the charts, and those things, and then you get your touring. But for the most part, that's why.
Napster.
Yeah, labels.
Detroit's throwing
Takes
in
a lot.
Napsters in there. Who was on Napster platform? I don't
Me.
know. I think we all were. I mean, come on, let's be real. We're all DJs in the digital world or the crossover, and Napster was the place to get it, right? I mean, let's be honest with each other. That's where it happened.
Man, that was a rough period. I have to say that, like, that
After Napster, it was LimeWire.
I remember in general, like, as a guy that ran out there with all these records, I had to go to Napster because I didn't have everything on record. And I'm mixing up going from weddings, corporations, and nightclubs. Nightclubs was easy to get the record store, Platinum Records, by the way. And so I would go to like Platinum, and I'd sometimes even go, "Hey guys, do you have such and such?" And I'd have to go home and get on Napster.
Yeah, you know, it's just the digital era. That's where it was at for sure. I mean, why are we going to sit here and lie and saying we weren't on Napster? That's a bunch of bullshit. Nate being the good guy over there, maybe he was on it. I don't know. So
I tried it. Yeah. I mean,
I don't think. How many viruses did we all get? A ton. So
oh my god,
I didn't start this style of DJing though during that time. I was on the radio. So I was in college radio, and at the time we had
jukebox cable
clunk these big old knobs, pots on our board, and this toggle switch went ka-kung. And so you had to run CDs and mini discs and all those things.
Gotcha.
So anyways, it's very interesting to see how artists get paid and how things are changed in the distribution, and ultimately it has changed the shelf life of music and people's attention span in general. Now, so our role has changed as well. I would say, again, it's kind of flip-flopped a couple times. Like back in the disco era, we broke tracks. We did those things.
Yes.
Now I wouldn't say as much.
You know, I don't break a hardly single record. I wait for people to come ask me for what's popular. Yeah. I mean, I can only follow so many charts. I can only get so much music, which I have a shit ton of. We all know that. But I don't know what's popular until somebody comes and asks for it a couple times. Like, oh, yeah, sure, fuck, I'll play that. I'll play that. Then I know that needs to be in rotation because that's what people are wanting. You know, it's just kind of where we're at these days. I mean, that's how I do it.
Yeah, they got to beat the algorithm. And make it to Clint.
There you go, because I'll stick to my 90s.
So, and the reason we have to do that, and because let's put it this way too, just to know the opinions you're getting from us. No one on this panel right here is a music producer, correct? Like, do you guys produce beats?
I don't know.
Yeah, so none of us are actually pushing our own music. We are using other ones, and we fight with the rights online and all this all the time. That's why we're doing podcasting today.
Yeah.
But we're just trying to get paid. So one of the things that's interesting is how the scale of pay has worked out as well, and the competition and the change in the pattern of our industry because of this technology and the access to it. And being able to, like, even my halfway, I don't know what word to say, not very musically inclined. I attempted bass guitar back in the day, can now get on the software, and I give myself less credit than I should, but I can mix fluidly.
Yeah.
And I can do those things, and I was able to progress really fastly.
Mafia brought up a good point, though. It says the DJs make the tunes, and the charts just want us to play them. You know, so, I mean, I don't know.
Mafia's old. Whoa. I love you, Mafia, though, you know. But he is. We all are.
Yeah, we all are.
And I think that I'll be that guy. I'll be the devil advocate in this because I'm old and I realize that I make these same assumptions. And we did. I think we did. I think and again, it's my opinion, and his opinions probably different too because he does a lot more vinyl, and he came from a really strong era of breaking tracks.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He broke way more tracks than I ever will in my career, and so I understand where he's coming from, but I think that now we're just trying to get paid and get our jobs done, and we're just trying to stay up with the charts alone because the timing has moved so quickly.
So fast.
Like back then, you could break a track because it would last a long time.
Yeah.
But now we can't. So with that being said,
With that being said, Cadillac James, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Good to see you in the chat room. We got a lot of people going on over here. Kippy, Buzz. Yeah. So we'll wrap this up with the shelf life of music. I mean, that's a good breakdown of our interpretation.
Yeah. So what I was bringing you into the fact of pay and DJ pay.
Gotcha.
And that's the point I was trying to make is we're not always breaking tracks. We're trying to do this because we need jobs. And I was going to go, Sugar's probably been in this market. Both of you guys have been here a really long time.
He's been here longer than me, though.
A really long time.
Only because I came out before you.
And so this is the way I understood it. I know as far as earlier in talking with, and I can speak for like Salt Lake, I guess, but prior to my time, it was pretty common to be able to receive at least $100 an hour, right? Was it, or was it not back in 90s?
It felt like
80s.
That was just mobile. Mobile was always $100 an hour. Club still, even back, you had to everybody had to hustle differently. My boy DJ Reckless, I bring up once in a while, used to make a deal where he got percentage of the bar and a pay. And then he got to a point where he was taking the door and that and everything, and then also getting a flat fee.
And that's a good point. So when did, and I'm going to be learning some stuff right now. Would you say that pay structure kind of went more to a flat rate than actually getting the option of having the bar percentage?
Yeah. Owners did not want,
Owners are greedy.
AKA Chris Lenahan, that used to be around here, would never give his bar.
No, of course not.
He didn't give his door.
How many years ago was it a common thing to be able to negotiate a bar?
And
when we say bar, we're talking like the percentage of the sales off the bar.
I would say 2005.
Okay.
Because my brother and I were able to do a little hustling like that back in the day.
The
chef would cook up like a team of girls, and we got to get paid for them, and we also got paid DJing.
So one of the owners that had the Long Branch here in town, Nate, I got a flat fee and then a percentage of the sales also. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, some nights could be $500, some nights could be $900, depending on what bar sales were. But it based off of, if the bar didn't reach a certain percent of sales, then I got my flat fee. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I always had a guaranteed money, but after the bar made over so much, I got what percentage of bar sales.
Okay.
So that's a double-edged sword to go down. You know what I'm saying? But if you know you can do really well in bringing people in and people are going to come see you or hang out in said venue, there's nothing wrong with bar sales.
No. What would you say? Could you kind of give a ballpark of the least to the greatest during these percentage breakdowns you guys were working through? I've never worked off a percentage.
I would say $150 was the lowest that any DJ would get paid. Even the worst DJ would get at least $150 to walk in the door in any spot.
Mine was 100.
Tony Mafia out there, let me know, did you ever have any deals like this? Or was at Concept Entertainment, you guys just had your paychecks and knew how much you guys were going to make after every time you checked in?
So if you made 150, though, I guess the answer to the question I'm seeking for is, what was the greatest amount you could make on top of that if you were in a bar percentage? What's probably the most you've made off a bar percentage?
Most I've made off of bar percentage?
Yeah, either one of you. I've never entered into those contracts. So
I think the most I made off of bar percentage on one night was $1,500. That was a New Year's.
And that was 4 hour set?
4 hour set.
4 hour set.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
But that was a New Year's Eve though for us. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a bigger night regardless. And that very next day I was fired because of that. So
Because you took $1,500.
Yeah.
Well, what was your
Wait. My brother just chimed in because he worked at Concept too. They paid new DJs
like $20 an hour.
$20 an hour.
True.
For
We all
5 hours sets or something like that. Concept Entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, Concept Entertainment. I mean, Dan, I love you, Dan. You did a lot for Portland.
They still trying.
Yeah, but anyway, Concept Entertainment. Yeah, I think it was $25 an hour or something like that. I mean, it wasn't much, but it was enough to get your feet wet and get you in the door downtown Portland for sure. But I mean, so yeah, I don't know. You were an employee, Kippy. You were an employee of Concept. Well, were you an employee of Concept at that time?
Kippy never has been. I've been.
I got a 1099 from him, but I mean, I wasn't like a W-4 from him, so I don't know.
My brother was.
He was.
He was a busboy at Bar 71 and a bartender. And
So did both of you DJ in the 90s?
yes,
Okay, so you're saying the rates in the 90s were still like $150?
could be sometimes.
And
What it was based on back then was the KJ would come in for $100. They pay you an extra $50.
Oh, okay. And then so because I know that we also entered into kind of a debate where you would sit down and people I don't know if you guys got asked this, but it never worked. I always had to come up with a sales argument against it, but they wanted to know how many people, once social media broke out, they wanted to know how many
followers.
Yeah, how many followers, how many friends, how many.
It's still
whatever.
bullshit. It doesn't matter to us what we have to follow. I mean, it's funny to hear promoters talk about that, no matter what your following is. I mean, it's not our fucking job.
So if you guys,
That's the way I look at it. Portland had no clubs.
What you talking about, Kippy?
We had a few. What are you talking about? Seattle.
Barracudas?
Yeah.
Trio? Hey, Kippy, remember we did a nightclub on my birthday when you DJ'd with me? I was blinded drunk by the end, but hey, it was my birthday. But yes, we've had some nightclubs, and like a lot of other major cities, they've all gone to lounges too. That's a whole other thing, another reason why pay scales have changed. In the 90s, there was a time when multiple clubs around the United States, here in Portland too, there was full-on nightclubs.
okay.
But I mean, I don't know. My best pay was in the 2000s.
Mine too.
Yeah,
So I think personally got up to like, I think $450 or $500 a night.
that's good. Yeah,
I mean, during the 2000s. Before 2008 hit. After that, it went back down to like, I think $100, $150 a night.
So in all our pay, typically, I'm asking and just trying to make an explanation for people that haven't DJ'd. Is it going to come directly from the bar owner? Were you guys working underneath promoters? Like, how did?
Bar owners.
Okay. Did any of you enter into any relationship where you got paid by a promoter versus the bar?
Never.
My brother and I did.
Did you?
We worked with this guy KP and Jermaine for a while.
How did they break down your percentages? Like, what did they get paid and what did they pay you?
We just got paid by them. They'd be like, Detroit, you're in this room. You're making 300. Sugar, you're making 300 in this room.
Okay.
And they were running the door. They were running the marketing then. At that time, it was great. Where we'd just show up to a place called H2O at the time, and they would just host the party there.
Okay.
Gotcha. So we got Kippy on the line here. He just called in from Seattle. So I think he wants to chime in on the pay scale here.
That's a good time.
What do you think, Kippy?
I mean, as far as clubs, I just want to go back to the clubs in Portland. You guys had no. Why do you think I left Portland? There's 5 fucking clubs there.
Yeah.
I came to Seattle because the pay was better.
Okay, I remember the pay was better in Seattle.
But you guys didn't have clubs down there. What did you guys have? You had an underage club, and then you had like 4 places. I'm talking in the early 90s.
I don't know. I wasn't in Portland in the early 90s. I didn't make it to Portland and get into Portland scene until 96, 99.
And here's the thing is, not until Jammin' 95.5 came out did you guys have a hip-hop top 40 R&B club in Portland.
Fact.
So it's still underground music.
Okay.
You know, and that's so when that happened, when 95.5 came in, it turned everything around. You guys act little clubs like started popping up, and then all of a sudden you guys had all those clubs.
And now that's all we
mean,
have, which is bullshit, right? So,
but I live in Seattle, which is a little bit bigger market now, but as far as a super club goes, neither town can support it. We've tried it in Seattle.
No, never. No.
And that's our thing. I mean, Clint, you work in lights, you work in the sound industry too.
Oh yeah. I mean, I do more stuff installs in the smaller venues because it's just smart business, Look, I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying.
We can take this back to Eric, right? All his venues were small, right?
Yes,
that's true.
But the thing is, it worked in Portland.
Yeah,
I think it worked. I tried to do that in Seattle. I was like, 40 to 70 people in a venue that's smaller, it's going to work a little bit better because you're not trying to go after the same person at 4 or 5 clubs that are 300 to 400 people.
It's always easier to fill a small place than it is a large place.
I would say when I...
Oh, it is. And I think the music gets a little bit better at that too. So you're not... I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, the situation is just that Portland in general in the 90s just kind of wasn't really doing anything. Like Sugar said, $150 to $100 was getting paid. Yeah, I mean, I think we all started out. I mean, I'm done.
But weren't you guys keeping the grunge alive? Like, it was all grunge bands and it was live music back then in the 90s, right?
Actually, no. Actually, what was really big for Kippy and I was actually warehouse parties were still raves. I remember doing so many raves between Portland and Seattle then. What about you, Kippy?
I didn't start. My first club gig up in Seattle was 98, 99. I was still playing breaks in house.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I didn't top 40. I didn't start playing top 40 until early 2000.
Did it smell like Teen Spirit?
Music. Yeah, like Teen Spirit. Yeah, weird. No. I mean,
Portland guys hate grunge jokes. They hate them.
I mean, I don't, but I'm just saying this. I just remember leaving Seattle. When I left Portland, I wasn't not disgruntled with leaving Portland or anything like that. Portland still had a lot of growth, and luckily of radio. I mean, hey, the person you got to thank is Paul Allen. Paul Allen, without Paul Allen bringing that radio station to you guys, Z100 wasn't doing anything for anything down there,
except for the copper pennies and the refractories.
Exactly, and you know what? My sister, who was 55 years old, that's where she went. So that was still older people, just like we still old school. I mean, you got to think about that. I mean, why do you think refractory lasted as long as it did? Because old people were still hanging out there.
Facts.
I mean, let's get back to the pay situation. I mean, so, in the early 90s, late 90s, you're getting $400 to $500 a gig, right?
Yeah.
And I would say that more of the reason why you were getting paid more, your records cost a lot more. That was the biggest thing. You were doing a lot more than downloading a track. You were digging, you were doing a lot more. And I think that the owners, the club promoters, they knew that. So whereas as soon as Serato hit, why would I want to pay you $500 a night? There's no reason.
When you can get the next guy who has a computer come do it too.
Exactly. But here's my thing is, what would entitle somebody to get paid $500 to $600 at a club night in Portland or Seattle? I'm still baffled when somebody gets paid that. I go, none of these DJs in Seattle or Portland are worth $500. That's me saying.
Not in today's standards. I don't believe so.
The closest thing, in Seattle, this did happen too, Kippy. Down here, one of these Mexican DJs down here, he has an actual following that fills out a building.
Yeah, but that's
I get that.
That's the whole different Latin scene, though. If it wasn't for Latin music in the last 5 years, he would be nowhere.
True, because he's not that talented.
That's what I'm saying.
Sugar, whenever you were doing Dirty and stuff like that, you guys' Thursday night was great. You can't complain because that was the music you guys were playing was that at that time, so people were coming. And then once that Latin, like that was about the time the Latin started. If you're a Latin DJ or or anything type like that, you're huge. I mean, the same thing in Seattle. My man Precision kills it up here.
Yeah.
Precision's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? But I mean, also, then you look at, like, we'll take somebody like Precision. Not only is he DJing, well, he worked at Rain, and he's bilingual.
Correct.
That makes, he's worth more money because he can do that.
Hey, correct.
You know,
I mean, yeah, for sure. But
I mean, that's the way.
So we can take, I mean, like R2 here in Portland. He's the same thing. I mean, I know we're talking about Denver, who has a huge Latin following.
Yes.
But R2 is phenomenal at what he does for the Latin community, and he's been grinding for years, grinding for years.
And he's on Denver's coattails.
Yes. But you know, it's just like, but Precision is he's, I don't know, he's part of the industry though. You know what I'm saying? He's not just he's not just a DJ. He's part of the industry though.
And same thing with you, Clint. You're the same way. You're like me. We're all different breed. We're a different breed than just a DJ because, hey, I know I almost give you about 50 DJs and set them in a room with a mixer, a turntable. I guarantee you they won't set it up. They don't know how to, which you should know. They don't.
100%. Every DJ should know how to hook up their equipment. That way they can troubleshoot if something happens instead of going there, I don't know what to do. I got nothing. You know what I'm saying? So,
and it goes back to
even our birthday boy, problem solver. He can't solve any problem with sound systems, lighting.
But it goes back to this. I get on Sugar, and one thing I get on Sugar about is he doesn't know a damn lick about his PC. And every time he gets in a problem, he'll try to be like, Chippy. He'll be like, Chippy, what's up? I'm like, dude, get a Mac. No, man. And I love Jeff. It's the best. But guess what? Fuck him and his PC because all it's doing is brainwashing fucking Sugar.
Yeah,
Neither one of us.
Oh my god!
I see Kippy. Good. We're on the same track with Suge. He needs to get a Mac, dude. He has you to lean on. He has me to lean on. And Jeff, I love Jeff to death, but
like I told Sugar the other day, I said, listen, man, if Jeff's going to do it, guess what? You need to sit in a room with him for 3 hours, and he gives you the basic rundown about the PC.
True.
Oh man, something's wrong. It's overheating. How is your computer? It's brand fucking new. How is it overheating? Get out of here.
Yeah. Anyway, so
but I mean, anyway,
gotcha. So
I think we discussed a lot of the. I think we discussed the pay in the '90s. So then we were talking about because I can't really talk to you guys about the '90s and DJing because I was in radio making a salary with 2 offices in a television and radio station working for the Utah Jazz. So, but then I got.
And how'd that work out for you now?
Enron.
Yeah.
So then we come into the 2000s, right? And were there bigger clubs back then, Kippy, in that era, in the early 2000s? Because I know I was DJing one of my residency for like 3.5 years, was 300 to 500 people, like no joke. Like that's.
And what were you getting paid?
Jack. I was only getting $150 for that, but I was playing with a band in between their sets, so it wasn't like I was only doing a 2-hour set.
Were you on records, CDs? What were you playing on?
It was digital, so I was on the Serato platform.
So you see, so when I started getting in the clubs, I've been working with the same company for almost 20 years. From Venom, Amber to Cowgirl, all the same owner. But I've also ventured out, but I've stuck with this company because they're just great, you know. And plus, the owner's one of my best friends. But I mean, bottom line is that. When I started there, we were getting $500-$600, and that was to split the night. So each of us were leaving with $300 tips, whatever. Well, me and my buddy DJ Austin Payne, we kind of got on the groove of 2x4. We were pretty much getting pretty notarized in Seattle as the top guys. So when Venom started saying, "Hey, we're gonna cut you guys out," I went over to another club and I got us a good chunk of change. I mean, upped our ante because people were wanting to come see us. So that was probably 2004, 5, 6, somewhere around there. And I mean, for me and Austin, we were getting close to $800. So that was pretty good money. And
what years was that?
Like 4 or 5. Right when Serato came out, so about 4 or 5.
2004.
2004 or 5. Okay. Yeah, that was I started after that. So
yeah. So I mean, up here, especially in Seattle, money was still around. One of my first gigs I ever played was Planet Hollywood, owned by that one guy and all the guys, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold, yeah, and Bruce
Oh
Willis.
yeah.
Yeah, so they all owned it, and I'll tell you this: I walked in there, and I was probably like 24 years old. I had 2 bags of records. I was playing with the radio guys, and I walked in there, and you name any basketball star at that time, they were sitting down there, and this kid's still smoking clubs, and I pretty much shit my pants because I was like, I made it. I'm fucking doing this.
That's awesome.
You know, and I played an hour. I got $500.
Whoa.
So
yeah, that's killer.
you know, I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, and honestly, I mean, hey, thanks to Platinum Records, where I worked for millions of years, they did get me in the door. I was already in the door a little bit, but as far as top 40 and clubs, so the pay, I mean, as far as the pay goes, Toronto came in every place I would say had a DJ. So when you saturated the market so bad, your pay went from $300-400 a night to $250.
Yep.
Within that's how simple it went. I mean,
And that was,
you know,
250, 300 was kind of your high point DJs. Like, I would say.
but I mean, and since then it stayed that way. I mean, there's some places that pay less, but you just like we know. I mean, I did work at a bar, Wild Rose, and they did give me the door. I mean, some nights, I mean, I did get a flat fee like Clint was talking about, and they didn't hit no margin. There's nights I walk out of there. I mean, you can have sugar. The place is small; it's not that big, and I walked out of there with a pretty lump changes, and I almost gave the money back because I got so much. I mean, that's how crazy it was.
That's awesome.
You know, that's just me though. I mean, I'm a kind guy like that. I mean, I look at a bar or a place I play at. I mean, yeah, I need money too, but if you had 5 people in there and you gave me, and I had a great relationship with you, and you didn't make no money, I'm going to make it worth your time because I think building a relationship is where it's at. To where some people are just like, I'm the band, I'm going in there, you're giving me $500 whether there's nobody here or not. So, I mean,
my brother just brought up in Twitch, Skippy. Did you guys ever have Camel or Marlboro events that you DJ'd? Because I know I did a lot of Camel events.
So, Sugar, you know that big the blonde girl that we met that hangs out at the Seahawks game?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, the old Poggy Woggy.
Yeah.
She was a Camel rep, and she hit up every after hours. So yeah, we had Camel. I mean, I did some stuff with Camel. I made some money off Camel too.
Because we were talking about money, and my brother brought up in Twitch, and I'm like, wait, I remember getting easily $1,200. The most I ever made was $1,600 check for opening up for Floater, or they would have me do a whole winter theme. Of all places, that used to be now I just went blank. Where it's Voodoo Donuts. What was it called before Voodoo Donuts? Anyone in the chat room?
For bodies.
Yeah, I rocked a show in there. They paid me $1,500 to wear all white and like everything looked like snow.
But I mean, if you want to talk about, so that almost go back to when you guys were talking about records breaking. I mean, basically, think about it. Red Bull was payola. They were like, hey, we want to bring this spot. Same thing with Camel. It's payola. That's all it was. But you're promoting this drink. We're going to give you guys $300. So when Knock Knock first opened up, that's how Knock Knock got a lot of notoriety. Red Bull. They were the first to have it in there. And Red Bull was DJ equipment. Whatever you guys want, we're going to feed you. And that's, you know.
Yeah, I remember the Red Bull events. That's actually where Eric Bowler and I would end up kind of bumping heads. We'd end up either one of us would end up like getting booked back and forth. Like he'd do one year, I'd do another year.
These are. I'm not talking about
Did
events.
he just
I'm
call
talking
you
about
out?
I don't know
before Red Bull even got
Before
Red Bull was even big in the States. They were already coming in and going to bars like Camel, saying, "Hey, check this new product out." They weren't booking DJs. They weren't having shows or anything. They were just supplying it. They were giving money away.
Okay, got you.
To put the product in there. So it was like I can't even drink Red Bull because I drank so much Red Bull, and you know that, Sugar. I don't drink any drink because I drank so much when Red Bull came out. I probably drank a case a week because it was that accessible. I had a refrigerator inside the DJ booth. You know,
that's funny.
And a lot of people know But
So, just personal note, while I was in college, I was the student brand manager of Red Bull. I was basically a pusher on campus, but I would have 13 cases in my bedroom and a refrigerator at any point within that entire 3 semesters I did that for. Yeah, you're right, man. I remember when it was flooded. It was amazing, though. They took care of me. They flew me out to California for training, threw us parties every night. It was fun. But
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That a lot of people don't understand that. And even if anybody knows what the true Red Bull looked like, it looked like if you go and grab that Gatorade in a tube.
Yeah, it's a brown bottle.
But I'm saying the thickness of it was like almost an oil.
Yeah,
it was disgusting.
I drank it. I've had it before. The original brown Red Bull. Yeah, it's a tonic without any carbonation, and it's a cough syrup, sort of.
And the can wasn't as big as it is. It was concentrated, so it was only like 5 ounces.
Yeah, it was real tiny. It was so where they got it out of India or whatever, it was basically a kind of an upper drug, sort of like it was a
taurine, baby.
It was a tonic. Yeah. Well, taurine. I could go into the whole breakdown of that Red Bull can if you want, man.
So, anyways, back to pay. I mean, I mean, personally, two things. I mean, we're not going to get paid like we ever did after this if clubs do go back. So I don't think
facts.
Yeah,
that's actually the next pivot I was going to get into about what's next about pay.
So bottom line, I would say, we try to average our $50 an hour. Is that kind of
that's about where
we're at in the clubs.
Sometimes
50 to 75, I would say.
Yeah, 50 to 75.
That's currently where we're at. It's 50 to 75, depending on what venue, what we have worked out with the current owners. For sure. But none of us. But none of us as Hit Squad DJs will go anywhere for less than $200 a night to play a club, though.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
that's true.
I think the biggest thing, though, as going forward, and as we do get into the nearest future and stuff, the two things I look at right now is when it does open back up, the music choice is gonna. I'm gonna take Dean Ice for example. How AM shocked the world and everybody said, "Can you play the Las Vegas matchup?" Everybody got on that tip.
Yeah.
I think with Dean Ice doing what he did on Instagram, I think it's going to help us be more creative again because people will be like, "Can you play like Dean Ice did on there?" So I think as music comes along, I think it might be better for the clubs because nobody really knows what new music is. Pay, I think everybody's just going to have to start from ground zero with pay and be like, "Hey, we're only averaging 40 people in here right now. What can we do?" A lot of people might go back to playing for free, to be honest.
I don't know. I think that's going to boil down to the personal relationships you have with said club owners or promoters, whoever you're getting paid by, is the personal relationships that you have built, just like you were talking about, Kip. I got my arrangements set for when we come back around, but it's just, I don't know. But I follow what you're saying, though. These guys that have pegged themselves into a corner, only playing hip hop, only playing this, only playing that, where the open format guys are going to get what pretty much they want to be the D-Nices, to play everything when we reopen, though. So,
that's the thing, though. I talked to Sugar about it. I said the biggest thing is that it helps because let's say he didn't do that, then we're going to still be pigeon-toed into that mumble rap, that slower BPM and people are going to still. But I think since D-Nice built that out and spread it out the wings a little bit again, I think it's going to really help us to come out of a more creative tone and creative music when we do get back around and open up. Because people, honestly, if I walked into a club after all this and I heard Madonna, I'm going to freak the fuck out. But if I walked into if I walked into a club and heard Drake Tootsie Slide, I'm going to go out the back door. That's just me. They call me old or whatever, but I'm saying I want to hear something, and I get it. I'm 45. Those people that are going in are 22. So we're way up. So
exactly. But that comes up to, it's like, the pay scale going forward is going to determine what we can bring to said venues on how we can sell drinks and keep bodies in the door. That's the way I look at it.
Oh, and just like we've already said, it's the relationship that you have. And You know, I mean, you guys see it as much as I do. Everybody that wants to stay open. I mean, I know the Pioneer Club is doing the same thing as Cowgirl. We made a switch. Let's put more TVs in here. Let's put more seating in here. Let's do this so people can sit and eat and blah blah blah. But then what happens? You know, as soon as the back opens, guess what? We're going to take it all back out. You know. So,
well, yeah, you just had to do the short-term investment to keep your doors open. I mean, that's just smart business. I mean, if you have the capital to do the short-term investments to keep your doors open, or they're going to, you're not going to survive. So that's the way I look at it.
I mean, that's the biggest. I mean, that's the biggest issue going on. I mean, I mean, you know, I know a lot of musicians that are, you know, we're talking big names too, and I've talked to a few people, and you know, a couple of them are working it out and making it happen. A couple of them are just like, dude, I don't even know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
gotcha.
So I mean, that's you guys talk about music. It's like, I'm sure. I mean, if I was a musician or an artist right now, I probably have 16 albums wrote right now. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, we can bring this back. I mean,
you could have your whole career set up by the time COVID got over, so you could just release them, kind of time release them. Well, yeah, that's genius. That's what I do too.
I mean, but look how many albums or songs. We can take this back way back to how many songs did Prince produce but never released? You know, that dude was working constantly. You know, so.
I mean, you don't think Eminem probably has 20 records sitting right there?
Oh, I'm sure he does too. I'm sure he has a ton of records and tracks sitting there.
And look how many Tupac put out while he was dead. It was crazy. It was cool.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Hey, but you also think the thing about this though, who's going to break that record that really dives into the situation? Like South Park. I mean, they dove into it. It took them 6 months, but they dove into it. They hit the nail on the head a little bit on some stuff and some stuff not. But I'm saying, who's going to really bring that? Who's going to bring the sadness that it is kind of sad what's going on with America right now? Who's going to really pop that off? And that's going to be a hit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because we can bring that full circle back to, I mean, what was it? Oh man, you're a country dude, Kip. Come on, what is it? Toby Keith, I Love This Bar, and then there was
yeah.
What was the other one?
Jason Aldean.
Oh man, no, the older country guy that did the 9/11 tribute. I mean, that
Hank
was
Williams Jr.
No, not Hank Williams Jr. Anyway, I can't think of it right now. But I mean, he did songs to current events, and it went over huge. Where is that for this pandemic now? There's no song coming out about it yet.
Because they can't tour. They can't make any money.
I was going to say Board in the House on Board in the House. Yeah. Every other TikTok song.
Board in the House, Board in the House. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys checked out any of the Save the Stage. You guys know about that?
The what?
Save Our Stages.
Yeah, it's a
Save Our Stages.
Yeah, yeah.
The social media campaign.
Yeah. Are that's just like the red light district for all the lighting designers and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody paid attention,
you said red light.
Who's the number one artist that everybody's talking about?
I don't know. Who is it?
Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus.
True. Miley Cyrus is hot right now. The last 2 weeks.
Because, but what did she do? She never sang one of her own songs. It was a cover to every song. She did the Cranberries to Metallica.
Yeah, watch that.
Guess what?
Cranberries covered.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
Her next album is going to be Metallica.
Yeah, her next album is all Metallica covers.
Oh wow!
And guess what? Metallica asked her to do this.
Wow.
It's crazy. Not just her. Metallica asked her to do this.
That's crazy. That's going to be interesting to hear. So.
And another thing is, I mean, I have another thing that I think is going to happen that's going to blow up a little bit. I think the fact that live cover bands and stuff like that are going to overshoot music venues, even clubs, because I think people might want to, and the Dodgers just won.
The Dodgers win. There you go, Clint.
Yes. Thank you. That's about time, guys.
I think live music's going to come back again. So I think that's going to make people, I don't know, man. I just think that it might be a little bit different, and the DJ ain't going to be as the guy.
So you think live bands are going to have a resurgence over the DJs in some of these smaller bars and stuff? Because I mean, I've been through the band eras and the DJ eras and back and forth, and I don't know. I still value us DJs more valuable than a live band.
And here, hold on. and I'm going to put it in a perspective that it'll be a little bit better. So I'm going to go, let's just say, Hank Williams Jr. cover band at Pioneer Pub, $15 at the door, it's taxed. DJ Clint, no cover charge, 10 people. That's what I'm saying. There's going to be more money involved with the live act. You understand? Does that make sense, Clint?
It does, but I still think, so we have that, like you said, Hank Williams Jr.'s cover band or whatever. They're going to play, they're only going to be able to play, they're a band, one, and they're going to play for 4 hours. They're going to play their 30 songs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where a DJ,
I get it.
We're an open format DJ, we can play 150 songs in that same 4 hours and not take a break. And our pay is a hell of a lot cheaper. But then it depends on how that band has broken it down with said venue. If they're taking 100% of the door, or is they getting a flat rate and the bar's paying them, and then you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of variables there. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, but I'm just thinking as far as if I'm going to go out. Honestly, I don't want to see a gray bearded old dude because all of us are old anyways.
Yeah. Very true.
That's sitting up there.
Come on now.
Very, very true.
That's sitting up there on their phone because we're all on our phones, texting our friends. Texting, hey, grab that guy, grab this person. Can you grab that? So, or am I going to see a three-piece band, the cover band that plays everything from 80s, 90s to 2000s?
A good cover band, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying this. For me to get out of the house, I'm not even saying me. I'm saying for anybody that's over the age of 35, is the club going to be more appealing to go see a cover band that's doing an 80s prom night or DJ Kip Rock playing shitty ass top 40? That's the bottom line.
Well, I also think that boils down to your personal taste of music, though. Do you want to go see? Are you a band person? Are you a club DJ person? You know what I'm saying? So I think there's still going to be a lane.
Right now,
I still think there's going to be a lane for both people.
No, I think honestly, cover bands are right before that, the pandemic, they were coming back up huge. No lie, I'm probably one of the biggest Depeche Mode ever person fan. I will tell you this.
If you don't know that and you follow Kippy, you're like stoned or you don't pay attention to his social media, dude, because he is a huge Depeche Mode dude. Sure.
So I'm telling you, it's crazy because we have a local band here, sells out every time. They play smaller venues, 100, 150 sells out. I went and seen Strange Love. They sold out the Showbox. The Showbox holds about 1,200 people. And that's what I'm saying. But I've also seen a Ween band. I've seen a shitty ass Beastie Boys band that the venue has 100 people. It's sold out. And that's what I'm saying. I think that people are going to be, I don't know, man. You got in Portland, in Malala, they have the Hair Fest that's 3 days long. And it's huge.
It is. It is. But this year, everything's been fucked, so yeah, it doesn't matter.
But I think we're going to see more of a surge for live entertainment. That's all.
Gotcha.
I've heard people say they're tired of looking at a DJ.
Yeah.
For one thing, the whole push button. You know me, I'm gonna go in a little bit.
I'm tired of looking at me.
At a club, I'm just like, I can't stand it. Over talking, I can't stand it. And I'm a DJ, but I get to a club and it's just nonstop. That doubling up, blah 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 blah, word playing. I'm not there. You're not. That's great that you can do that. Take that shit down to the fucking DMC championship. I'm at a club. I want to hear the song.
Makes sense.
But I'm just saying it's okay every once in a while. We all do it. But when you get there and the kid's up there just doing it for 20 minutes, it blows me away that people still are standing there.
Well, 100%. That's like, if you're a scratcher DJ, and you can't rock a venue, why are you a DJ then? I don't know. There's that fine line of these guys that just scratch and do routines, but can they rock a club for 4 hours? You know what I'm saying?
I'll put two examples out there. Two of the guys that can do it, DJ T and Wicked. Those two guys, phenomenal. They don't overdo it.
Correct. That's where I was going. But then there's the selected few that can do the bars, the club scenes, and they're phenomenal scratchers. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
There's the scratchers, and then there's the routine people who that's all they do is scratches and routines. you know, but then there's
and
the,
they get
you know, so I mean, it's just that fine line of, I guess, what you really want to do, you know.
DJing is a pretty broad
Yeah,
term out, so I would say
and that's what,
it covers the producer now, it covers the scratcher, and it covers us bar bangers, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, totally,
So-
100% on that, Nathan. I agree with you on that. I mean, I just like I said, I mean, who knows where the hell this is going? I mean, I think a lot of awesome DJs are going to be pushed out because I mean, I know 4 or 5 guys that are never going to come back to DJing because they had to move on with their lives. They can't wait. You can't wait. You have a mortgage. You have this and that.
Oh,
You can't wait for the pub.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you know a place I can move on to? Because I think I want to move on.
hey,
So-
you want to? Hey, Nathan, you want a job? I can get you jobs. I give all my friends jobs. I can't get me a job.
You can't
He
get
just
yourself.
can't get he can't get himself a job. Exactly.
Wait, is the same way? Is that same way? Wait, is that the same way with a wife? You can help everyone else get a wife, and you're best man at their wedding.
I'll
That's
tell you
his-
this.
that's
I
his
could be a
lifestyle.
I could be a therapist. Hey, I could be a therapist. I could be a career changer, but I can't even do that shit for myself. So I don't know how I can do it for my friends.
All he needs is Depeche Mode and the golf course, and he's set. So
So
Hey, that's
we're going to 9 or how long
120.
we go?
9.
Okay.
I mean,
So anyway,
I'm into whatever. I mean, like, you know, as far as pay goes, it's going to be a different story when it happens.
Since we're speaking of pay, and you brought up, has this been yours? This hasn't been your sole source of income because you've always worked at a record store and DJ'd, right?
Well, yeah. So from the 90s until 2014, I mean, I had a full-time job. I mean, I was working. I actually was a supervisor at a auto parts place for years too. And then I moved up here, and I had a full-time job, and I DJ'd 5 to 6 nights a week. I was probably putting in 100 hours a week DJing and working. You know, 2014 hit. Ollie and Scott decided, hey, what do you want to do? And I said, you know what? I said, I think the store is pretty much over, you know, and they were like, yeah, we agree. So, since 2014, I've been doing this.
Okay.
Hey, Kippy, did you see that Guitar Center, at least around here, everyone's talking shit about Guitar Center and long live Platinum Records?
I mean, here's the thing I'll say about Guitar Center. Somebody will always buy Guitar Center and bail them out. It's, you know,
Yeah.
from the time that they came around Portland and Seattle, everybody's like, blah, blah, blah. That story, I mean, you can go back, and that story has been going since 2003.
this
I mean,
is
Guitar
also
Center
their
isn't.
this is their 4th chapter 11 too. So I mean, it just goes to
Yeah.
show somebody
I mean,
will
it's
buy
insane.
their debts just to keep them afloat.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known a lot of
I mean-
reps and salespeople to come in and out of Guitar Center. They move on to different companies. It's
Yeah,
just the
I
way
mean,
it is.
you know, I mean, hey, you don't think Guitar Center was hounding me the whole time after I was out of Platinum? I had 3 guys pick, you sure you don't want, no, I don't want to work. I don't ever want to work in sales again.
But you're so
you
good
know?
at it, Kippy. Come on.
How long? So, I mean, who else at this table? I know myself. I've turned this in, or was prior to this. This was my sole income, and it'd been that way for like 8-9 years into this. I think I started out, and I always supplemented my income. I looked at it as supplementing when I had to do gentlemen's clubs. Like that was more supplementing my regular clubs. Yeah.
that was, instead of calling it a day job, that was your night job.
That was my day night job, you know, whatever. Like I would go back and forth in and out of those just to still have, say I'm a DJ, I guess. But I mean, I've made a career out of it. So is Sugar. How long?
I went 20 years.
20 years.
I found out when I went filling out resumes and getting myself a regular job right now, 20 years of not real job besides DJing. Marketing, DJ, that didn't a DJing on the resume in 1999. You know.
Yeah,
I mean, we can't all be like Clinton, have a profession like he does either.
I'm sorry, but I don't know. I've always had a full daytime job, and DJ is also a love for my passion. I mean, I just love doing it, but it's just I could never survive on just DJing. I had bigger things to do.
No, I
in
mean,
life.
I did the same thing with you. I always told every DJ, every young guy was like, man, you know, I want to get into it. I said, don't jump into it until you feel like you're 100 into it. I mean, I hung out with my mentor, Mike Stevens, last in Boise, and he always told me, he's like, man, you just had the passion. You know, there's one thing about you. You knew what record to select, how to select it, and you connected to a crowd. You weren't up there just looking down at the record. You could, and he goes, you could care less if you can crash the mix, but you'd always fix it and make people happier. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
And that's the passion about it. I mean, some people get into it because they were at a lot of kids that when I worked at the record store, a lot of kids would come in and they'd be in college, right? So they would come in and they were like, oh, you know, we had college parties. I'm like, that's cool. What you guys? They all play off their iPad or iPods or whatever, you know. Yeah. So it's quick mixing, you know, next song. So when they started trying to DJ, they were getting frustrated. I'm like, it's not for everybody. But they were trying to push themselves, and then they spin. I mean, I can't tell you how many countless times I had $7,000 system go out and have it come right back 3 weeks later. Why? Because they thought that that $7,000 investment was going to be $1 million investment, and then when they figured it out that they never were going to get booked and everything, they were just like, oh. So it's hard. I mean, you know, and
So
I'm working almost to 30. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, and bringing it to the point of, you know, having an extra job or doing this with one income. What's probably been your longest residency? And I would say a residency means you were consistently playing there at least once a week for over 4 months.
So I've been, like I said, I've been with Amber, Cowgirls, and Venom. I'm going almost 20 years with the same people.
Damn.
So that I started with. One thing you'll notice about me, Nathan, I'm a loyal person. I had chances. I could have been in Vegas. I chose not to go to Vegas because I had a girlfriend at the time and I thought I was going to get married. I stayed in Seattle. I had the door wide open. Yeah. I had a residency all locked in. Everything was in Vegas. I said no. I stayed here because I was already making good money. I mean, I was making 6 figures easily at this time. So I didn't give a fuck.
Yes, you were.
Yeah,
that's great.
So, I mean, that's the thing is, everything was given to me. I was stardom, rock star status, you know, I'd fucking walk into any place. Tippy, you need this, do this. And the door shut on me at one time, you know, and, you know, I mean, 4 years ago, I was down to 2 nights and I was getting scared. I was like, what am I going to do? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, man, what happens is, like every time, I mean, summer hits and you kind of get weary because every club wants they want the money. And then when winter hits, they don't have nobody. They got to call us older people back and be like, hey, okay. And then, you know, they finagle you back in because you're like, oh. And then all of a sudden my phone rang. Seahawks came. Rock and roll. I mean, everything just started flying again. And I'm like, dude, I kind of wanted to get out of it a little bit.
He kept telling me every time fall came around, Sugar, this is going to be my last season, man. Last football season. This is it. Just one more. Wait. I want to go back to some other things about you, Kippy, real quick, that some of these guys don't know about. Sometimes they do, but don't. How many people, when it comes to big boys, came through the record store, like Mixmaster Mike? You know, these people are now your friends, right?
Oh, I mean, Mike. I mean, I've been friends with Mike. Me and Mike have been friends for over 20 years. Scribbles. I mean, me and Scribbles are really good friends. DJ P is one of them, like my brother. I mean, you can name almost anything from hip hop side to house side. I mean, DJ IC to, you know, I mean. The list can go on and on. Doc Martin.
But that also helped. You worked at one of the best record shops in Seattle, though. So, I mean,
I'll tell you one story. So when I came to Seattle, Platinum Records was garbage. I mean, I'm just nobody. A lot of local people did not want to come here. They thought that they were shutting down the other guys, and a lot of people didn't like There was a couple of people that worked at Platinum, and a lot of people didn't like them. I single-handed. And if Tony or anybody's on here and wants to talk, say no. The truth is, I single-handedly brought Platinum back to life when I got there. I made sure to go to the other record stores. I made friends with everybody that worked at other record stores. I was doing things. I mean, there was just a lot of bad blood with a lot of local Seattle with Platinum. For you know, a lot of people did not like Platinum, but when I came up here and, you know, started bringing in the crews and and bringing in different people and helping out. It turned it around, and platinum became a staple. And you know, a lot of people, you know, the crazy story is about 2 years ago, I was walking down Broadway up by Dick's actually, and at 7:30 in the morning, I was going to catch the bus to go home from my girlfriend's house at the time, so she was going to work, and I was up, and a guy came up to me and he said, "Man, I really miss you guys," and I was like, 7:30 in the morning, he's like, Platinum was a place that people could go to, and really, whether you had money or not, you could listen to a record or talk to us, and I mean, it was crazy, but that stuff like that happens all the time to me. I mean, I get people walk up to me and like, "Man, I miss it," and I'm just like, "Yeah, I miss it too," you know. So, you know, but I mean, yeah, I mean, Nathan, back here, it's hard. I mean, this is my only income. I mean, luckily, I mean, I got blessed with a little bit of unemployment, but I mean, that's only gonna last too long. So, you know, we all got to figure something else out. You know?
We're all looking at those next options.
Day jobs.
I don't know if we want
day jobs.
I mean, we're getting real close to the end of this, so I don't know if we want to just.
We got 5 minutes.
Yeah, we can just throw this out real quick. I mean, let's just go to the last one just to kind of, I don't know, have some fun.
Oh yeah, this will be good.
So, should we just all state how damn old we are?
Nathan, go ahead. Start.
I'm 40.
47. DJ Sugar.
43.
Kippy?
45.
45. So we're all in the 40 club.
So
we're all in the 40 club.
So I'll tell you this. There's all, I mean, as people listen to us, there's about 6 to 10 people still on here. We're all a little bit dated and bitter. We all love music.
True.
We'll all still DJ, even though we say, "Oh man, we're not DJing after this." Man, guarantee you'll see us again at a club again. So don't say that we're just bitter. I mean, you know, we love our passion.
You do become bitter, and I guess that's something to consider too.
I mean, I actually have an end goal, and that's just I hope I can still be playing in the clubs till I'm 50. You know, so I got 7 more years. I think I can do it.
Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say real quick before we get off. The joy that I found again, and Sugar will testify. You guys, unfortunately, you guys don't get on my Twitch when I'm playing, but I do. When I'm playing on my little, but Mr. Detroit does, and he loves it. But my thing is, when I'm playing what I love to play, my facial expression and dancing will show you that I still love it.
Yeah.
I just don't love what I have to play to make it anymore.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's where I'm at, man. I'm loving DJing again, but I have a feeling once it starts back up, what it does, I might be back to that grumpy old dude. So, who knows?
We don't want no grumpy old.
And I think that's a point though. Like if you are older and you've considered, I don't know, it's hard to suggest getting into this with everything so uncertain or not. But
I wouldn't recommend getting into DJing to anybody right now.
Yeah, exactly, right.
No,
but here's the biggest thing too. Here's another thing. I've been DJing. I looked at this the other day. I'll probably have 1 weekend, maybe 2 weekends off in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
that's another thing you got to think about. I've been in a nightclub since I was 12 years old. Because when in Portland, you could be in a nightclub at 14
we were doing clubs. Kippy and I were at Scoochie's Quest
and Confetti's.
Confetti's. The City nightclub. You could listen to all Depeche Mode and Industrial.
Hey, and the biggest club was Depot. I mean, Depot was.
Oh,
they had
fuck yeah.
If people don't know Portland used to have a dance channel. KPTV 1212, Dancing with Doc used to came on, and it was live from the Depot.
Huh. I didn't know that.
And you could see type it up. I mean, I used to see my friends on there. I'm like, I'm going. And I finally got to go in there. And when I finally got there, I got in there for the half hour of taping. Did I get on TV? No, but that was the last weekend it happened. So I was, you know what I mean? It was crazy. So every year, when I turned 14, the age was 14, 15, 16, all the way until they started at 18. It was kind of crazy because you think about that. I was 5 years of, I shouldn't have been in a club.
True.
True that, yeah.
And that's what I wonder too, though. Like, I mean, I think most of us in here have to stop putting our face on flyers, right? We just look too damn old.
And Sugar is
never
here.
Never stopping my cut and paste. My cut and paste.
Your cut and paste is on a different level for sure. For sure.
Something else.
But Sugar still recycles pictures from 10 years ago because he thinks he's young still.
And
Hey, did you guys see me how it started and how it is now?
Did you see him put my Santa
Yeah,
picture?
that was
No.
Oh,
yeah, that was good.
Clint's on it. Did
I
you?
missed it.
He did a cut and
It's
paste.
on
He
his
put
Facebook.
on my Facebook wall.
Gotcha. Well, anyway, good chat with you, Kippy. Thanks for calling in, man. Always good talking with you. You need to get your ass
Hey,
back
I'll
to the
be down-
studio and play some
Wait.
music.
He's a
I'll be
dog.
down Tuesday before Thanksgiving. That's my day. I'll be there.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
We'll make it a date for
right.
you, buddy.
All right, brothers. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Kip. Appreciate
thanks.
it. Bye.
Later.
So, before we get off here, we definitely need to mention that the podcasting format, we are on a monthly basis, normally on Tuesdays and Thursday nights on twitch.tv/Hit Squad DJs. You can catch us actually enjoying DJing because we do get to play what we want. And
We do,
We do get to interact with you, and you can have feedback. We don't care. We'll try to hit you up too if you're in the chat room with us. So please tell your friends, spread that around. It helps us get up on Twitch and maybe receive pennies back from them.
Pennies. Pennies.
And we also have a Discord. If you are familiar with that social media platform, please join in. It's more of a chat room, interpersonal type of format for you. And we have a Cash App if you feel like donating. Cash App at Hit Squad DJs. And our merch store.
Merch store.
If you are on Twitch currently, you can scroll down and the links are there. If you're on a phone, it's going to be in the info tab. So biggest things to remember for us, though, since this is going to be streaming on YouTube, click the subscribe button.
Yes. Subscribe to every platform we have for us, man. Please
subscribe. Also, don't forget, again, twitch.tv/Hit Squad DJs, and we DJ every Tuesday and Thursday from
Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays.
Fridays are done.
Oh, well, Fridays are up in the debate, but Fridays, and when we are on Tuesday here, 7 or 10, Arizona still 7 or 10? So Tuesday and Thursday, 7 or 10 on twitch.tv/Hit Squad DJs. Thank you guys.